Intergalactic Introductions. I'm M, you get the ankles, and I'll get the wrist cipher, and it's a patron-requested theme this month. Big thanks to Richard Homsey, who wanted to look at a major moment in Transformer history that's kinda been lightly memory-holed in the modern day. We're going back halfway through the franchise's lifespan to its 20th anniversary in that year's flagship line, the awkward middle child of the Unicron trilogy, Transformers Energon. Where its predecessor, the hugely successful Armada, had a pretty concise line-wide gimmick, Energon was a bit more varied in its play patterns, which led to it being kinda awkward and unfocused in its theming. But I mean, who wasn't awkward and unfocused at 20 years old? Energon as a concept was only a small part of the play pattern, with the more prominent theme of combination, thus the line being called Super Link in Japan, taking on perhaps a few too many forms. But I don't want to come across too negative here. I'm fond of the line, because if I'm like me, and I know I am, I will generally appreciate an ambitious shot that kinda failed to hit the mark more than I will a bullseye on a safe, minimal risk attempt. So let's dig in. And no, I'm not going to talk about the cartoon. Speaking of moving on, I'll only briefly touch on that Energon as a concept play pattern, which were the Omnicons and Terrorcons. Each one came with multiple clear plastic Energon pieces that can be assembled into weapons for other toys to use. No new pics for this lot though, because years ago I did pictures of literally every toy and variant in that theme in both the Hasbro and Takara lines as part of a massive update. So that's pretty well covered, and I want to focus on new pictures. Most of the Autobots in the Deluxe Equivalent Combat class and Voyager Equivalent Mega class had the play pattern of mix-and-match 2-bot combiners, as demonstrated by Rodimus, a hot-rodding log-nose cab with rocket thrusters on the back end. He and his fellow Autobots can also form the top or bottom half of a super robot, a very chunky super robot, thanks to the Autobot's legs needing to be big enough to support a large combo bot, while also needing to turn into arms for torso mode. And as the combination transformation invariably involves,
fold yourself in the middle,
you get a significant chunk of robot stuff hanging off the back, especially from the bot forming the legs, since usually their whole upper body just hangs in the back like the world's most awkward butt flap. Rodimus fares a bit better on the back bulk front, as at least his robot mode arms can become cool and relatively unobtrusive hip-slung cannons in leg mode. The Combat and Mega Class toys use the same connectors, which can lead to some extra interesting looking combos. Very top-heavy combos. Oh, and while I was digging through my archive of unprocessed photos for this update, I came across pics of the Takara version of Rodimus I'd taken in a toy shop like over a decade ago. So here you go. This release uses darker plastics across the board and has some extra flame detailing on the spoiler. Speaking of Takara releases, in Japan, there were a pair of boxed 2-packs of same-size class Autobots, really highlighting the combination gimmick right up front. And also speaking of ancient archive pics, this is another image taken forever ago that's been sitting on at least 2 different hard drives for who knows how long. I got gigs of stuff like this, but there's only so much free time to process them. Remember, I said most Autobots in those sizes combine with the Big Bot Double Stack method. There's a couple of exceptions, like Mega Class Wing Saber, who does combine with another bot, but in an entirely different way. Loosely based on Autobot Supreme Commander Star Saber from the 1989 Japanese Victini? That's a Pokemon. Loosely based on the Autobot Supreme Commander Star Saber from the 1989 Japanese Victory series, this toy was a Takara-initiated project designed specifically for their markets. Takara doesn't have to set individual toys within the strict price point system and the accompanying budgets that Hasbro's used since the dawn of Beast Wars in 1996. Japanese retailers just don't have that death grip on the danglies of toy makers' pricing structures like certain US retailers do. So Wing Saber's a bit bigger and more expensive than the rest of the Mega Class toys, which is the closest available Energon price point, and thus the Hasbro version drops a lot of paint applications to compensate. Wing Saber was designed around turning into arms and legs for Leader Class Optimus Prime, replacing the 4 Prime Force drone vehicles. Each piece can either be an arm or a leg, forming a cannon mode or flight mode. The end result of needing to split into quarters like this and have space to stuff Prime's limbs into them. Good lord, the things that come out of your mouth when talking about Transformers, loof. Was a robot mode that calls back to Victory's Star Saber in another way. He's an almost total brick. He actually has less articulation than the old Star Saber. He's basically just elbows, and they don't even have a full 90-degree bend. Woof. So what about the next step up, the Commander class? Those bots basically combine with themselves. Kinda. Take Quickstrike here, who's also repping Energon's slew of late-line redecos as new characters under the Powerlinks Battles banner. He came with a large ED 2090 weapon drone thing with electronic lights and sounds that he can wear in robot mode for brute mode, or carry under his vehicle mode. And no, this drone is not compatible with the other Commander Autobot mold Landmine, nor is that mold's brute mode gear compatible with this guy. Real pity. For the Decepticons, their theme is hyperpower. Basically just alternate configurations that reveal spring-loaded missile launchers and other instruments of destruction. Or in the case of some larger Decepticons, having two alternate modes, like Shockblast's tank and death satellite forms. And if you're wondering how combination factors into the Decepticons, well, it does, but only barely. Not only can these toys carry the aforementioned Energon weapons, okay, Shockblast needs to mount those on ports or post holes since he lacks normal hands, but they also have ringed spark crystals to attach the Omnicon and Terrorcon Energon chips to, plus most have at least one Minicon-compatible Powerlinks plug, which all the Autobots do as well. Both of those. Yeah. And if you're also wondering about the name, at the time, Hasbro was unable to secure Shockwave as a trademark as they hadn't used it in a long time, and someone else had scooped it up. It's been claimed that it was Leonard and their G.I. Joe-alike The Core military action figure toy line, but I haven't been able to find any evidence of such a toy even existing. But regardless, it was a pretty brief window of time, and the following year, Shockwave was applied to a minicon of the Cybertron toy line to secure the name, and now we're swimming in Shockwave-named toys based on the sinister Cyclops. Before we move on to Energon's later stages, let's take a side trip to its slew of Armada redecos, as Transformers sales were still really good, and demand for Transformers product was still really high, even with the concurrently running Universe line out there. While the main retail line featured a few shorter-run redecos early on, most of them came in the form of store exclusives, like the Energon release of Overload. Oh, look at that. Love this toy. So good. Yes, it's a big brick of a nonsense trailer, but it looks like it will absolutely wreck your... And because I love you, here's his Minicon component Rollout by himself as a bonus. Oh, that's good stuff. That extra gun mode is a cherry. This Overload came in a Costco exclusive 2-pack with a pretty wildly decoed Armada Super Base Optimus Prime, and would you like to know the price tag on this set, which has the equivalent to a modern Commander class toy, plus a Leader class, plus roughly a Scout class? You sitting down? $29.99 American. Roughly $50 today dollars as of this writing, assuming the sundowning skin sack sociopath in the White House hasn't tanked the economy even more since I wrote this. Assuming we still have an economy. Anyway, this set was $10 under the price of the normal retail Super Base Optimus by itself. That's cheap even by Costco standards. That's unthinkable today. And then, at the very end of the line, we got a new form of combination, and by that I mean an old form of combination. The classic 5-bot combiner, as represented by Superion Maximus here, the combined form of the Autobot Air Team. These were the first new takes on the Scramble City style of large torso bot with 4 interchangeable limb bots combiners since 1988, with only redecos of the old 80s molds popping up on occasion in the interim. The torso of each combiner is a combat class toy, like Steamhammer from the Decepticons construction team, who form Constructicon Maximus. I love how chunky that vehicle mode is. He just looks heavy. The Energon theme was still actually present here, as the combination joints on all 3 torso bots were cast in Super Energon transparent blue plastic, matching the colors of the limb bots' Energon parts. As making toy molds is expensive, Hasbro and Takara were able to expand the number of combiner teams they could release from 2 to 3 by doubling up on the smaller Limbot mold use, using only 2 toolings per team. The Destruction Team's Blackout here shares his mold with teammate Stormcloud, with them both able to become an arm or leg for their team's combined Bruticus Maximus robot form, or whatever combination you feel like making. He comes with a Super Energon multi-barreled blaster with the ability to form a foot or an admittedly freaky hand. He's also got a Terrorcon-esque Energon chip, if you dig that. Air quotes fun fact, Blackout was part of a bit of a panic back in the day, as he and 3 other Decepticon combiner limbs made up the final wave of small Energon figures. And the tail end wave of any line has a historical tendency to be scarce at retail, as stores want to move on to the next toy line rather than stock the dregs of what's on its way out. Quite a few people were very concerned that their Constructicon Maximus and Bruticus Maximus would be incomplete. I really only saw them like once, snapped them up then and there. This was not an issue in Japan quite so much, where the combiner teams were only sold as full box sets rather than individuals. In conclusion, Energon is a land of... Ow. Oof, sorry. But you can see why Energon doesn't get a lot of modern remakes, and I mean just on a technical level, right? You can emulate most Armada and Cybertron toy gimmicks without the complex spring-loaded mechanisms. But the signature gimmick of the Energon line, the one most figures use, means those toys are fundamentally designed around multiple full-body manual conversions at that size, mean that things like modern articulation levels in all humanoid modes are at best really hard to pull off, simply because
you cannot change the laws of physics. Laws of physics. Laws of physics. You cannot change the laws of physics. Laws of physics, Jim.
And for the gimmick to even work, you have to use 2 new mold figure slots. And you can't really remove the core gimmick of the toy, because at that point, why not just do someone else? As for the other major group of combiners, the 5-bot teams, yeah, that role's already taken in the current line. And okay, let's be real, the cartoon sure didn't help engender nostalgia in the line in general. And anyone, look, I'm sorry, I know he said I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's a freaking fact you can't ignore. Holy crap, what a... But again, I don't want to come across as overly negative towards the line. It is very a product of its time, but that time was generally pretty dang good. There's cool designs and fun toys in there, and I would highly recommend you give a couple of them a try. Little sampler from each size class and theme. And hey, maybe we'll get a new Battle Ravage or something. That'd be cool. Hope you enjoyed this look back at Energon. It really took some work to whittle down which toys to show off for as broad a scope as possible. My list changed a lot over the course of making this. And you too can help choose a monthly theme for the big vids by signing up at my Patreon. Thanks again to Richard Homsey for the sponsoring. See you again next time for another batch of fresh visuals of fighting super robot life forms.